These two concepts, level 1 and level 2 unity, are important reminders for you to think about how all of your ideas in your essay are connected. So level 1 unity, hopefully you recall, is how each one of the topic sentences are, how each one of those is directly connected back to the thesis. So how it directly develops whatever claim you made in your thesis statement. So level 1 unity is looking at the claim structure, and each one of these, in this case, 4 points, these 4 subclaims, should all be developing the larger claim made in the thesis. So that's emphasizing level 1. Level 2 unity, on the other hand, looks at the development within the paragraph, that every sentence in that paragraph, the support you're offering in that paragraph, is all connected to whatever point is being offered in that claim of the topic sentence. So you'll notice here I have this all yellow. That means that every sentence in there is on the same point as presented here in topic sentence 1. Here we have blue, so everything in there is all connected to whatever this point is. Sometimes what I see, actually quite often, what I see is this piece of support, the last piece of support of the previous paragraph, a lot of times belongs in the next piece or the next paragraph. So be on the lookout. Make sure that your paragraphs are unified, and you can use the term level 2 unity to help remind yourself that all this stuff is connected and stuck to whatever point you've presented in the topic sentence claim. Okay, just a couple of points then with unity. Keep your consistent pattern, use key terms, and don't forget about transitions. So transitions are crucial, and make sure you guys check out that document that I have on Writing Teacher Tools about using transitions, and it's just a whole pile of different transitions that you can use to help develop your essay. You guys might hear my dog growling in the background. She wants dinner. Okay. All right. We're not working, or we're only working with primary sources in this essay. So take a look at here. We don't really want something like this. Gilman talks about John, and then we give the quote and then put Gilman at the end in the parenthetical citation. It's better to put, rather than have her name at the end, notice there's no Gilman here at the beginning of this sentence. We can go ahead and put Gilman and put some verb in there. So Gilman describes John, and then we can just put the page number wherever that quote can be found. So this is a more sophisticated structure than doing what we call this dropped-in quote here, where we don't have any integration of our author at the beginning of the sentence. So MLA format says that we put the author's last name followed by the page number in parenthetical, in parentheses at the end of the sentence, if we don't put the author's name at the beginning of the sentence. If we put the author's name at the beginning of the sentence, then all we need in that parenthetical citation, which always is at the end of the sentence, I should remind you guys of that. The only thing we need in the parenthetical citation is the page number. So, and remember that those parenthetical citations are always at the very end of the sentence. They should never be hanging out here in the middle of the sentence somewhere. Regardless of where your quote happens in the sentence, the parenthetical citation lives at the end of the sentence. Okay, so that's our MLA with our primary sources. We're not using any secondary sources, so I'm just going to skip over this slide in the next one. It's just a couple of points to make sure that you're thinking about. Don't retell the story. If you ever find yourself, or when you're rereading your essay, that you see that you're just summarizing the plot, delete. Start deleting anything that's just simply retelling the story. Don't assume that your quotations and summary prove your point. You must analyze how that quote or summary develops whatever claim you're making for your reader. So generally speaking, any quote should be followed by at least as much of your own analysis. And then we always use present tense verbs. So make sure that you don't have any, this would be the simple past, any ed endings of our verbs. So we always keep it in present tense. Even though the story might have been written over 100 years ago, we still maintain, when we're talking about literary text, we always leave the verb tense in the present. Okay. We always, the first time we mention an author, we give kind of the full introduction with the author's first and last name. And then afterwards, we only use the last name. So that's just the general convention for literary analysis. Give your essay a great title. So this one, comparative analysis of two short stories, is really boring. We're already bored before we've read your first word of your introduction. So, unintentional imprisonment or something. Be creative with your title, and the title should somehow clue into your thesis statement. So, kind of play with that, and then make sure you're using MLA formatting. So, double space. Make sure you have your proper MLA header, your page numbers, your in-text citations, and your works cited page. The works cited page for this essay will just contain your two primary sources, so your two stories or your two poems or whichever works of fiction you're using. If you are need a refresher on MLA, make sure you go and grab that link in the additional resources so you can review MLA formatting. Okay, whenever we have the titles of any story or poem or essay, titles of those types of documents are always with quotation marks. And then anything that is a longer length work, so books, periodicals, plays, are always indicated with italics. So the thing I like to tell people is big things get italics. Little things that live inside big things get quote marks. So you would have, remember, yellow wallpaper is in an anthology. It's in a big book, right? So the anthology literature, our textbook would be in italics, and then the title of the story is in quotation marks. If you find something in an academic journal, the title of the academic journal would be italicized, and the title of the article in the academic journal would have quote marks. And our period placement. So remember that the period always goes at the end of the sentence, so the period always follows your parenthetical citation. This should look crazy to you. That sentence has two periods, and we know a sentence doesn't get two periods. It only gets one, and that period goes at the end of the sentence, not at the end of the quote, but at the end of the sentence. Here we have a floating citation. It always has to be attached, so you got to put the period. And here we have kind of craziness because it says Gilman here and then it says Gilman again, double periods, all kinds of redundancy on this one. So this is the correct. If we put the author's name, then we just have the page number and the period following the parenthetical citation. Okay, that's the end. Let me know if you guys have any questions, and happy writing.